With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Welcome to the Beautifully Broken podcast, brought to you by Ampcoil. I'm your host, Freddie Kimmel, and on this show we discuss the common thread survivors share after walking through the fire, the practitioners making a difference, and the treatment modalities that deliver healing back into the hands of the people who need it most. Witness the inspiration we gain by navigating the human experience with grace, humility, and a healthy dose of mistakes. Because part of being human is being beautifully broken. You are made out of 50 trillion cells. So we are a community of little entities and less like a single person than we had ever imagined. So picture, if you will, that each member of the community is an electrical being. Each cell a battery. The battery of the cell is a positive on the outside and a negative on the inside. And as the small little cells interacting in our bodies naturally repel each other, they create space inside of us. And also, this is an incredible, difficult thing to imagine, but the human body is actually made up of more space from a quantum level than anything solid as it is perceived. Also, we know that each cell, this is a fact, holds a charge of 1.4 volts. So those 50 trillion cells equals 700 trillion volts in the body right now. How we drive that energy, how we focus that energy is what we're all seeking right now in this field of health and wellness. Meditation, yoga, cognitive therapy, qigong, acupuncture, massage, PEMF devices, frequency generation. Now, from a physics perspective, we are just energetic waves which intercept in harmony or disharmony with each other in our community in every moment of every day. Can you energetically feel the harmonic resonance when your best friend, who always makes you feel valid or appreciated, as opposed to the difference when you communicate with a peer who cuts you off, who doesn't listen to you, who doesn't take your input, and is only waiting for their turn to speak? What about a doctor who pushes through your lab work and blunts your requests that you just don't feel good, at least as good as you know you could feel, and pushes you out the door with antibiotics or SSRIs to shift a stagnant and unresponsive mood to balance your feelings? You know there's a better way. Do you inherently know this relationship you've allowed yourself to be manipulated by is dysfunctional and leaves something to be lacking? Of course you do. Well, this seems complicated by so many hundreds of factors, including all the baggage that each person brings into a situation. It's possible to simplify things by taking a quick glimpse at the animal kingdom. And what can we learn? The animal kingdom and the human race has an innate sense of intelligence which is woven into the DNA, divine knowledge and superior intelligence from birth. Does a baby seal need to be told for 1 second after being birthed into the water that the oncoming presence of a killer whale presents danger? No. Energetically, they are in tune with their fields or the wave that each being is broadcasting. The energetic signature of that whale is recognized as a threat to the baby seal, as well as the waveform of the seal represents food to the oncoming killer whale. This is a truth each animal has a deep understanding of without ever reading about the other in a textbook or receiving a lesson from mom or dad. It's cellular knowledge from birth. In the human race, through evolution, higher levels of language, these things were invented to communicate. But as our intelligence grew, we began to manipulate language to hide feelings. So our truth, the instinctual reactions or gut feelings to threats, or a true calling towards resonant frequencies indicating attraction, those things within human beings, they've dulled. Now, in quantum physics, scientists study the field, the wave, and not the particle. I've got a question for the audience. Has anyone heard of an MEG or a magnetic encephalograph? Like an EEG that measures the electrical current in your heart, the MEG measures brain activity outside your brain using a very sensitive diagnostic tool. This is very real. They have one down at NYU, and we can now see waveforms of our thoughts and intentions spreading throughout the field, interacting with others in our community. Your thoughts are not contained in your head. In the real world, waveforms become entangled with one another on a subway ride, a work commute, a trip to Whole Foods or Trader Joe's, whatever your price point for groceries being. From a quantum physics understanding is this: you are your thoughts. You are the vibration you put out into the world, bad, good, and indifferent. Negative talk or positive talk. Everyone remembers the book The Secret and the power of intention and positive thought, and the conversation around this blockbuster movie years ago. It's really very simple. So here's my take on this concept. Given the interconnectedness of humans and the power to influence others through their actions, their words, their thoughts, it has never been so important in history to retain a high level of responsibility for our level of thinking. We truly stand in the creation of the world we inhabit and have the limitless power to create a version of heaven on earth. And on a lesser scale, your desired salary, a dream job, a dream girlfriend or boyfriend, a body that's healthy. Now imagine, if you will, the gentle energetic waves of electrons, atoms, neutrons, quarks flowing from your body and entangling with one another. If the concept of energetically entangling with someone is confusing, I'd ask you how to show me to physically separate a wave from the ocean. Well, where does it begin? Where does it end? It's all one. We have this power to affect one another and to influence not only single human, but large numbers of people. And another level is what happens when the collective, the mass, is focused on one singular idea or feeling that we can change the world. On September 11th in 2002, one day after the fall of the Twin Towers, the New York lottery came up as 911 is the winning number. What do you think was on the mind of every single New Yorker in the city that never sleeps? What about on September 10th, when the closing value of the September S&P 500 futures contracts ended the day at exactly 911? Now, I'll leave you to question whether or not that was coincidence, but I choose to believe in the power of the collective's ability to influence the environment. And what I really take away from all the aforementioned points on quantum entanglement and stories about interconnectedness and whales and seals is that we're all one. We are all one under the sun, and there's no valid judgment of anyone through our observation. Judgment is the observation as we witness an undesirable quality that exists within ourselves. If it exists in the community, and if we approach it with understanding and curiosity, we suddenly become an empowered, compassionate race instead of a judgmental one. We instantly create connection between our brothers and our sisters on the planet as opposed to distance, and we don't need any more distance from one another. There's already this incredible dividing line. We've got two sides of the coin. It's black and white. There's right and wrong. But with the shift from judgment to curiosity or empathy, we got the power in our hands to facilitate radical healing. Radical healing. Documented literature supports and reveals that 1/3 of all medical healings are the result of positive thinking. That includes surgery. And negative thinking can kill you. So if it's Imagined by John Lennon, or We Are the World, or Born This Way by Lady Gaga, or Come Together by the Beatles, or listen to the music by the Doobie Brothers, get your motivational background tracks fired up and envision the powerful tuning fork. Literally, that's our heads. and take responsibility for the MEG measurable waves being broadcast into creation. It's difficult to believe in yourself because the idea of self is an artificial construction. You are, in fact, part of the glorious oneness that's the universe. Everything that's beautiful in the world is within you. Russell Brand. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to this stream of conscious babble that came together this morning at 6:45 a.m. I felt it was real. It resonated with me, and I've been thinking a lot about our power to stand in creation of our community, the friendships we form, the business relationships we build, the pieces of art we create. And it all comes from the power of intentions, our thoughts, and how we interact with the world, and how connected we all are, and how powerful that is. So I was excited, and I was fired up, and I hope this spoke to you. Namaste.
Ladies and gentlemen, you made it to the end of the podcast. Now, in a world where the average attention span is less than 10 seconds, we just spent almost an hour together. And I think this is the beginning of something really beautiful. Now, one way to support the podcast is to head over to FreddieSetGo.com and check out my newly launched page, Freddie's Faves, where I've linked every 5-star product and healing modality you hear about on the show. Most offer significant discounts by clicking the link. And please know, it doesn't cost you anything extra, and at the same time, they support the show through affiliation. So check out Freddie's Faves on FreddieSetGo.com. This episode of the Beautifully Broken podcast was brought to you by our sponsor, AmpCoil, upgrading the vibrations of hearts, minds, and bodies all over the world. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's show, head over to iTunes and leave a 5-star review. Grabbing a download is like giving this virtual thumbs up that we're doing it right. And if you want to connect with me, shoot me a message on Instagram at FreddieSetGo.com or at FreddieSetGo. That's all for today. Our closing. The world is hurting. We need you at your very best. So take the steps today to always be upgrading, whatever it takes to move the needle. Remember, while life is pain, putting those fractured pieces back together is a beautiful process. I'm your host. I love you. Namaste. Have a wonderful day.